Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki of ChakraBoosters.com, and this is a pretty noisy video because I'm on a ferry, but I was so inspired to make this video for you, I couldn't stop myself. I'm on a ferry from Bremerton to Seattle, and it seemed like the perfect time to talk to you about transitions because I'm going through one in my life right now, and I realize that in order to move through and shift many things that were my foundation that weren't working for me, I've had to have a lot of transitions in my life. And I think we're living in an age where we're finally able to change and upgrade even the things that were programmed into us at such a young age, that we really need this skill now to be able to deal with transition and dive into transition and invite it. And woo, it is scary because I mean, this is the perfect metaphor right here on this boat, on this ferry. See the ocean out there? Yeah, we leave one land and we're going to another, and we're in this unknown zone. Now, I'm on a schedule right now. I'm trusting that the Seattle ferry system is going to land me in Seattle in about 40 minutes. And so that's a lot better than life in terms of trust, right? Life doesn't guarantee us where we're going to land when we truly go into a transition zone, because we have to be willing to allow the unknown to arise. Right? We have to be willing to allow the unknown. Otherwise, we're just going to be repeating the same old. And if you don't change something, then nothing's going to change, right? So I wanted to talk to you about a few things that we can do that help us take on these transitions in a self-loving way, in a healthy way, and move through them in a way that allows us to shift things that maybe aren't working for us. So if that interests you, stick with me. I am going to first talk about the foundation, which is self-love. Woo-wee. We aren't in a culture of self-love, are we? But it's so important that you love yourself when you're going through these challenging transitions. Now, sometimes that's a time when we're sort of lost in what's going on outside us and trusting ourselves the least and loving ourselves the least. So think how you would be for a friend. That's how I need you to be for yourself, okay? Think about a best friend, how kind and gentle and caring and listening you would be, and can you be that for yourself during this period? So that would be number one, is that you get into a soft, loving, accepting space where you support yourself. You make this commitment to support yourself through this transition with love, okay? Can you do that? All right. Second one would be to help your child self to feel safe. Now, I don't want to sound woo-woo, but it's just a fact. Whatever it is in our lives that's coming up that we don't like was usually programmed on some level. It became our norm in the first formative years of our life, which is when our root chakra is forming, between the age from the womb basically until age 7. So it's very, very important that you befriend this child self if you want to change things at a root level, at a foundational level. And if you need to, now not all of us, not every single one of us needs to. Some of us had a pretty healthy womb to 7 years, and we don't have to do this. But if you know for a fact, as I know I did, that you had a really unhealthy time, then you literally need to be willing to redo the foundation, which means you must befriend the child that is living and reacting to having that foundation. So that self-love has to really reach out to the child. So you need to contact your child, maybe put pictures of yourself as a small child out there, ask your child what he or she needs, and make sure to give them that. Now, if your child just says, I want sugar, or the adult version of that, alcohol or whatever, you need to come in as a loving parent and create some boundaries. But listen and find a middle ground and really let your child know that you're here for him or her, right? This is so important. The next step is that you're going to tap into your higher self. Now, often spiritual people, quote unquote, and I fall into that category, will go to the higher self first. And I've done this for a lifetime. It doesn't work because it creates a real unsafe feeling when you're doing the higher, better thing, but the child self doesn't want it. The child self doesn't understand it. The child self is not on board with you. So first the child, then the higher self. And if you do it in that order, then how do you know when you're listening to your higher self and listening to your intuition? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to check your old patterns, because patterns can sometimes feel like intuition because they're instinct. They're what we automatically go to. So if there's anything you really want to shift in this transition, remember, from one land to another, then you definitely want to recognize a couple patterns. Don't overwhelm yourself, but if there's one that's really sitting with you, I want to change X, then don't allow yourself to believe that doing that same thing is going to change anything, because our higher self almost always takes us to something new, something different, to transformation and change. So how do you know when you're doing things that your higher self is bringing to you? Well, one of the things I know is it's not usually logical. It's usually against logic. That's just for me, and we'll see if that works for you. The sun is moving, so I'll move around here. It's usually not logical, and it usually comes out of nowhere, which means you haven't been thinking it out. And finally, it typically is a big step, a difference. It's a change, right? Because our higher self wants to guide us into the butterfly wings, the changes, the transformation. So those are three things that tell me, and it's self-supportive. It doesn't ever come with an icky voice, right? Ever. But that goes back to both points 1 and 2, where we're gonna love ourselves and we're gonna help the child to feel safe. And I forgot to mention, you need tangible steps for the child to feel safe. So once you've communicated with your inner child, know a few things that your child needs, whether it's type of food or friends to have around, or a type of where you sleep, or anything that will help you to feel more safe. Make sure that you have a few of those things in place. Okay, so once you've got the child self and the higher self on board, then and only then can you visualize and feel into possible positive outcomes. So you're just going to feel into, without any absolute attachment to anything, just what would feel good. What is the change I'm longing for? What is the transformation? What is the thing that I want to see be different? And you can begin to sort of just feel, what does that possibility feel like to you? It's like you're practicing the muscle of allowing it to exist in your reality. Can you feel that? How good that feels? Yeah, and we're always beginners at this, because this is a new land. Remember, we left the old lands back there. So we're gonna land somewhere new, and there may be a new language, there may be all sorts of new things, but there's definitely a new frequency. So feel into those possibilities. And then finally, the biggie, the really biggie, just as it's so important that you love yourself, you need to trust and love life. Do you trust life? Now, it didn't take a whole lot of trust for me to get on this ferry, because I knew where it was landing and even what time it was landing at. But it has taken trust recently for me to listen to my intuition and move away from my home for a little while, and away from my relationship, and really figure out what's trying to transform within me. And you may need that same kind of courage, and I want to encourage you to have that courage. I'm hoping that you're open to all the possibilities that can come in your life, and that you're willing, through loving yourself, through trusting the universe, through listening to your little child and listening to your higher self, and through looking at your patterns and determining the ones that you do want to shift once and for all, that you are going to step forward into whole new possibilities. I hope this all makes sense. I'm kind of rambling at the back of a ferry boat, my hair going in all directions, but I really, really just wanted to share with you. This is beautiful Seattle, and this is Vicki Howie. I know you know me. I love you, and I hope to be bringing you more personal videos. I want to share just my life and what I'm moving through. It's all chakra work. We're always working with our energy centers. and the center one is the heart, right? So the basis is self-love. I'm hoping for you a week of so much self-love. I love you.